All right, we are live with the Survivor Michigan after show with my two good friends, of course, Brady, the host of Survivor Michigan All Stars, and Andrew is a good friend of mine from Survivor UVA. We'll also be joined by Ryan, also from UVA, who will be joining us shortly. So, what did you guys make of this twisty episode that shook up the game?
Brady, surely you have a lot of like unbiased,
Yeah. Yeah, Brady, what do you think is going to happen next? Why don't you tell us?
Well, here's who wins. No, I mean, like, it's been what 3.5 years since that came out. So like I've forgotten so many of the intricacies of it. So like I feel like I'm watching it fresh. Obviously, like I know who gets voted out and stuff, but so many of the little meetings and stuff like that, like most of the footage I haven't seen anyways. So it is just great to watch. Obviously, like massive blindside. Again, like the theme that I keep seeing is like there's just so many friendships. And like you have no idea, like being behind the scenes and like knowing all of it. Like Megan is right. Like Megan, almost 99% of what Megan says is correct, where she's just like, it's just friends. It's like the friendship plays so much into it. And you can even see that in this vote where like people are like, oh, let's make a move. It's time to make a fucking move. And they're like, we should get Bailey out. We should get like Brie out. But then everyone's like, well, no, we're friends with them. So we'll get Emily, who's kind of floating right now, to like not ruin the friendships. So it's so interesting to watch. Love watching it, but the friendships are just it's crazy. I forgot how like intricate it all was.
Yeah, I was gonna say as well, like from a viewer's perspective, like obviously not knowing the outcome, it's satisfying too to finally see the seven kind of implode a little bit. Because for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I guess 3 weeks ago was when the seven was formed, and it's just been kind of like there's teases of a shakeup, but the shakeup doesn't actually come. And I think some viewers would maybe be like, "Oh, Emily B, like she's a no one in the show right now, like she's a non-factor." But just having the shakeup come is like, I think it's nice to see. I was also thinking like Emily B was my like preseason winner pick. I think that she's a fun character and had a lot of potential, but it seems like especially this episode showed that maybe she wasn't as strong socially and strategically as some of the other players. Like her conversation with Adam was kind of frustrating to watch. So I think her leaving is nice. I think her leaving is a good one to go. And not often do you see like the GOAT actually get booted after like final 10 or so. So leaving some of these bigger players in is kind of nice as well.
I mean, from a TV standpoint, I think people are going to be excited about the way this shook out because we get to have Bailey and Leia and Brie in the game to see their reaction to this.
Right.
Versus if they had taken out, if say Leia or Bailey goes out here, then we don't really get to find out how they feel about being blindsided by Cooper and Sam and such. And so I don't think that followed is going to disappoint. So yeah.
That was one of my first thoughts. I think it was like in the outros or in like the like flash forward to the next episodes where you can see Bailey and Leia just start going at it. Ian, is the next episode where my favorite clip of all time from this season is that do you remember what I'm talking about?
I know. I believe so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So let me ask you this, Andrew. Who did you feel this was like this was the best move for, like?
Yeah, so at first I was a little confused. So I thought Cooper was playing fantastically. I thought it was a good week for Cooper. But he's putting a lot of trust into Sam, and then obviously we saw Sam report back to Leia what was happening. And at first, I wasn't sure if that was the right move for Sam. I thought that might have been a misplay. But as the episode went on and as we got into Tribal Council, I started to kind of think, well, actually, I think this is a good move. Sam gets to shake it up slightly. He gets to put a move on his resume because apparently some players don't think he's playing the game. So whatever the actual perception is, it's good to put that move out there because he was the key pivotal vote. And he can potentially keep his inroads with Leia because he told her about the plan. He told her that Cooper was being a snake. And so now she's aware of everything. But then the flash forward to next week's or the episode in 2 weeks is kind of confusing me because it seemed like Leia was popping off on Sam as well. So like as soon as the episode cut, I was like, all right, this was the best move for Sam. Now I'm not too sure with just that brief glimpse.
Yeah, we'll have to see if there's potentially some reason. Maybe there's something Sam didn't quite fully explain to her about everything that happened.
Oh, really?
But,
Sounds like there might not be something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I remember that because production, we were insanely excited for this flip to happen, obviously. And when we heard that Sam was running back to Leia, we all freaked out because we were worried that it might mean that the Pagonging would continue. And that was like our greatest fear, was like if All Stars just was like a straight Pagonging. So everyone in production was like, oh my God, no, what's happening? But then it still happened. And yeah, there's room to grow. So Ryan just joined us. Ryan, what were your
Hello.
Introduce yourself quickly and like your thoughts, your brief thoughts.
I'm Ryan. I was on Survivor UVA back in the day. And my thoughts, I'm actually kind of shocked that Sam went and told Leia and then didn't follow through with actually working with her. I was kind of confused by that. And so I guess props to editing, because I thought it was going to be a Andrew Slaughter, and I thought that the fans were going to be really fucking mad about that, but I guess not. So
yeah, so we were just talking about Sam going back to Leia. What did you think of that decision?
I thought it was smart, actually. I think my top, I think honestly the two biggest game players here are Cooper and Sam, and it was kind of like which one of them was going to outsmart. I guess they were kind of working together, but
they're like frenemies,
huh?
They're frenemies. Like they're
frenemies. And this whole time I've been thinking that like it's going to come to a Cooper and Sam showdown, because I feel like they are the biggest players, and I feel like there has been somewhat of a lot of foreshadowing of this happening, but they somehow keep working together in ways that I don't understand.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Literally, what was it last week? They were like Cooper's like, I'm gonna vote Sam out, and this week he's like, I'm gonna go to Sam right now and use him as a number immediately. And it's just like, again, that's where the friendships just play such a difference.
Yeah,
and I think you can see it. Because again, yeah, I think you're right. Like Sam and Cooper are two of the best, biggest players. But I think it's so interesting when like doing this move to vote Emily and like kind of blindsiding Leia, where you can see Cooper, who is like best friends with Leia, is like, no, this is a game. Like I'm gonna play the game. I'm going to like kind of forget this, go make the move. And Sam, who's much more of a people pleaser and is much more on the social end, is like, no, I'm going to Leia and I need to tell her immediately. So I think that's almost like the key difference in their gameplays as well, and it's just like very well evidenced in this book.
Yeah, which is surprising to me, because I feel like a lot of this time I've been thinking that Sam is one of those like backstabbing kind of like cutthroat players, but I guess he does have a soft spot for Leia.
Yeah, he's like way more emotional than I thought he was going to be, to be honest. Like not necessarily like emotional in a bad way, but he seems to take offense when people lie to him, and he really puts a heavy emphasis on, people being true to their words, which I really did not see that coming here into the merge. So he is a bit more of an emotional player, and I think Cooper's a little more like game body, does what he thinks is right, does what he thinks he has to do, regardless of how it's going to affect his friends and allies.
What did you guys make of all the information that Sam spilled to Cooper, such as Leia searching his room, the idol clues, and all the rest? Like he really just kind of let it all slide there.
Okay, my take on this is that I thought it was kind of surprising that Sam, immediately upon hearing that there was even a possibility that Leia was backstabbing him, he immediately divulges all of this information. Like, why don't you at least digest it? Why don't you like go back to Leia if you're going to eventually do that before you actually tell Cooper all this information?
I think it's like right. It's a little messy, right? It's like in that moment, he's fully on board with like, he's on the anti-Leia train. He's like with Cooper completely, like, but then like the more he thinks about it, the more he starts to like, oh, maybe I should go back to Leia. So, but the issue is he's already spilled it all to Cooper,
I think Michigan players just have loose lips, and
true. Facts.
Like it's crazy, because I feel like we've seen this exact same thing happen with Adam. Like someone will come to him and say something emotional, and then Adam will just spill everything. It's happened with Bailey a couple times where as soon as somebody confronts her and says, hey, this is what's actually happening, she'll be like, oh, well, this is X, Y, and Z that I know. It's interesting to me that everybody, and now with Sam, of course, this episode too, I think it is interesting that everyone goes in and as soon as like a crumb is given to them, they give the whole cookie. And I don't know if it's smart, but it's one way to make you seem perhaps a little more willing to, work with. But I don't know. Sam is he's a little all over the place. I think, he said it in the last episode where, it's his last semester. He's applying for jobs. Like this is very consuming, and maybe it's starting to grate on him a little mentally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is for everybody starting to grit in them a little bit, What'd you guys make of the scene between Megan and Sam in this episode? Because I think the Megan and Sam relationship is somewhat interesting, where I think it does seem like Sam is more genuine than Megan thinks he is, but they're like unable to fully trust each other, even though they were working together for this vote,
Yeah, I'm glad that Megan kind of finally decided to put her doubts aside and listen to Sam, or not necessarily listen to him, but go with what he was telling her. Because I feel like for the last couple of weeks, she's been really doubtful of any plan that's come to her. And I mean, half of her confessionals this episode too were, or at least one-on-one conversations were her saying to the other person, I don't know if I can trust you. I feel like you're going to backstab me. Please tell me you're not going to actually vote for me. So she's like so paranoid that I think it's much to her detriment. So it was good that she finally was like, all right, I'm taking a risk here. Maybe I go, maybe Andrew goes, but I just need to listen to these people, listen to what they're telling me to do, and hope that it works for me. So I think she could be on the up and up from this episode. I mean, I think people probably think Crouch is a bigger bite at this point to get rid of. And so even if, the 7 persists, or even if Andrew and Megan are kind of on the bottom, I think Megan will go through a couple more rounds.
7 is not persisting. Not after that.
No, I don't think it is either, actually.
Yeah, so do we think this new group stays together next week? Like, who do we think is voted off next after all this?
It's just going to become way more fluid. Like, I don't think there's going to be too many defined groups. I think Bailey said it in the little credits. Like, there's like a defined 5 with every possible, combination. So, no, I don't think the 5 we saw in this episode will stay. No shot.
I think it could, but I also think there's a chance that people in the 5, like Megan, are going to start wanting to target one of those big players, because for someone like Megan, she doesn't have a lot of people left that she can sit with the end at. Like, a lot of people seem to think of her as a GOAT, so she wants to go to the end with some of those smaller players. And if she keeps working with them, with Sam and Cooper, it's a slippery slope. Like, it could end up she just falls into a comfortable position and she sticks with that. So I do think, I think there's a chance she would work together with some of the girls, but they've honestly burned her so much that, like, it's tough to imagine.
Well, she can't work with Bailey. Like, she hates Bailey, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So, I doubt we'll see that relationship actually blossom.
We're also now joined by some guests from Survivor Michigan State, if they'd like to introduce themselves.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Elise. I'm from Survivor Michigan State.
I'm Michael. I'm also a player from season 1 of Survivor Michigan State. Yeah, we're both players and production members now. And yeah, we just watched the episode, so yeah.
All right, what were your immediate reactions?
I feel like one thing I thought was interesting was the fact that, like, Andrew and Emily were both up for vote, and I was kind of hoping that they would both play their idols and we could see like which idol was real, which one was fake. I think that would be really nerve-wracking, because in that event it wouldn't matter who had the majority, and I figured it'd be really cool, like, someone in the minority plays the idol correctly or something like that. I was hoping that would happen, but like, I like Andrew. I feel like he was a little absent from the episode, but that actually led me to think that he was going to get eliminated because Emily had more screen time. So I feel like, in a sense, like, the way it was edited, actually, like, I was actually shocked at Tribal, if that makes sense. So yeah.
I'm really excited to just see who Emily uses the advantage on. I liked how it was like a cliffhanger, like, we'll see next time. I don't know what to expect with that, but I think it'll be really interesting to see how that impacts the game going forward.
Yeah, so who do if people forgot, Emily has this right of revenge advantage that lets her vote for somebody after she's voted out for the next tribal. So who do people think she might vote for with that?
I mean, like, obviously I'm not spoiling or saying anything, but literally after she got voted, and Crouch literally just leans forward and turns to her and starts smiling. Like, just
Yeah, Crouch was eating that shit up, I will say. Yeah.
I totally forgot that shit happened.
She was shell shocked. I think you could tell that she was absolutely shell shocked that this happened.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you go, Michael. It's all you.
I feel like she might put it on Andrew, just because maybe like it kind of rubs salt in the wound, like taunting her after it was a close vote. But like, I don't know, Andrew in a sense did allow Emily to like get a clue, and maybe that like, I don't know if that's either like painting a target on her back so she would get eliminated, or if that was like kind of a gesture so she wouldn't write down his name. If I had to pick, it'd be Andrew, but like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like anyone that like voted for her in a sense, or because like, I don't know, but I would have to lean towards Andrew.
Okay. What about the rest of you guys?
I was gonna say, like, she, like you said, Ian, she seemed a bit shell shocked at the end there. Also, like, I could really see Emily being a little bitter about this week, because her whole talk leading up to this was, I can't wait to do my big move. Like, I'm going to do my big move. And then her final words were like, oh, I was right there. I was going to do it. And they just hit me a week short. I think that there's like two possibilities. I don't think that she would put it on Crouch. Like, she voted for Crouch. I don't think she had actual beef with Crouch. I could see her throwing it at Bailey, because her whole story for the merge has been, I want to get out Bailey. Like, it's time. I'm going to make that move. Bailey's, she talks down to me. She thinks I'm stupid. She thinks I'm a goat. Let me get out Bailey. That'll be my move. Or, she's burnt enough by this week. Maybe she throws her vote onto Cooper. Maybe throws it onto Adam, because she was close with Adam, but then he voted her out. So, I don't think it would go to Crouch. No shot it goes on like Bree. Don't know why she'd put it on like Sam or Megan. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this, Andrew. I think after all this preaching about wanting to make a big move, I think she's going to do it from the grave. She's going to put her vote on Cooper, is my prediction. It's the biggest move you could make.
Let's talk about Emily's like plan real quick. This plan she has to vote off Bailey. Here we find out that she's planning to do it at 7. She knows that Adam's on the bottom of the 7, that if it gets to 7, they're going to vote for Adam. And she's going to play the idol, and her and Adam are going to take out whoever they want. She's saying Bailey. And she's telling Adam this, but telling him she has a plan, but not telling him what it is, So what do we make of this whole plan? And I don't know. What did you guys make of that, basically? Like, in a world where she doesn't get voted out, would that have made sense,
I think it's the stupidest shit. Like, you don't go to someone and say, I have a plan. I'm telling you I have a plan, but we're not telling you what it is. Like, literally, what do you have to gain from that? Like, just dead ass nothing. So I just watched that again. Like, I forgot half these slips happened. Like, I haven't seen all the behind the footage stuff. And so I literally watching that. I'm like, what is the point? You're coming to someone saying, I have information. I know stuff. I'm going to make shit happen. You're my ally, but not going to tell you. Like, where does that gain trust? What does that gain you? It literally only causes distrust, and that's it.
Yeah, what she should have done is waited until she was actually ready to make the move. So final 7 or something, but I don't know why she would think that it would ever get to final 7 with the group of 7. So it just really felt like she had no plan at all with that idol. And I wish she had, because I think that it would have been so satisfying to see her actually take out Bailey, because Bailey, in my opinion, has definitely been talking down to her and not really like treating her in the way that you would want someone that you're supposed to be close with to like be speaking to you. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of sketchy, kind of weird that she would do that now instead of wait until she actually had a plan.
Yeah, I feel like the plan itself isn't bad, but I think the way she went about it is a little interesting. Like, I think if everyone's telling you that you're a GOAT, you're probably not going to win. And I think the general consensus is that like Bailey is like a contender to win the season. I feel like if you are a GOAT, you don't really need these shields in the game. You want to get rid of as many threats as possible. So I feel like the idea of getting rid of Bailey was fine, but the idea of like not like demonstrating your thought process and your strategic mind is a little puzzling, because odds are people catch on that you're super strategic and you have this plan set in place that could get you jury votes. And if you're a GOAT, like odds are there'll still be bigger threats than you. I feel like going for Bailey was fine, but just the way she, like the fact that she didn't really elaborate on what she wanted, it just had people not really having faith in like her plan. And I guess it was a smart move, but just executed poorly, I guess.
Brady, got any thoughts on this one?
How
was it watching the season 3 Pagonging? We're down to just Andrew from season 3. They had the most coming in, 7 players from season 3, and now there's only 1 remains.
Well, I think it's very interesting because I feel like most of the season 3 people that were casted like were people I didn't work with or that like betrayed me in season 3. So like
so you were fine with this, is what you're saying, I guess.
I honestly.
Did he rig the votes, maybe?
Yeah, actually, more production rigging was Brady taking out these people.
That's it. Yeah, people didn't know. I wrote every single vote that was casted that whole time. But no, I mean, if you think about it, like it's literally like half of Sabu Sabu, half of like Tormenta who betrayed me, like Will and Emily Paddock. Aaron going very sad. Dylan like sad from like the Aaron connection too, and just from being Tafiti. So like it was more sad in the beginning, but now it's just people that like I didn't work with or didn't want to work with. And especially like even this week, seeing Emily vote out 8th again after I personally was the one who took her out 8th in season 3, like it's kind of just funny. but I mean, also
ninth. She got ninth place, but
it
yeah,
was 9th. Never mind.
But she got 9th in both seasons. It's what you're saying is true.
Yeah. Sorry, there were 8 people after it. But I see some pretty smiley stuff through sources. No, I was not smiling. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like it's a game. I had so many connections with everyone this season, so it was a little sad just watching almost anyone go out because I again had personal relationships with like everyone. So it's a little sad seeing season 3, especially because you see so many season 1 and 2 people remaining and just like the OGs and the friends carrying it. But overall, like this feel gameplay wise, this feel I didn't really work with, and it's kind of like just interesting. I don't know, mixed emotions overall.
Any other thoughts on the Emily plan to Adam? Did anyone else think it was interesting that Adam didn't really fight so much to save Emily, or like they did have a connection? I wonder if there is anything she could have said to him. If she tells him like, "Oh, I have an idol, like I'm going to use it to save you eventually," does he try and like save her there?
I think that Emily kind of did to Adam exactly what Bailey was doing to Emily, and that she was patronizing to him. And you know, everyone sees Emily as a GOAT. She identifies that her perception is that she's a GOAT. And so Adam, who thinks he's the biggest threat in the entire game, probably is not going to like it when the GOAT comes to him and says, "Hey, I have a plan to save you, but I can't tell you this plan. Like, you're just gonna have to trust me. You're gonna have to wait that my move is gonna be the one that saves us." So I'm not too surprised, and I think their connection was less like a meaningful bond. Like, I don't know how much Adam really needed Emily. I think it was more that Emily needed Adam, and so that's why they were linking up. That's why they were having these conversations, because no one else was giving Emily much of a line. Adam was really, and I don't even really like Adam's gameplay that much, but I got to give him props there. Like he was communicating with someone that was like on top, but on the bottom of the top. So I don't know. I don't think he would have fought to save her in any world, to be honest.
What did you guys think of Cooper and Andrew keeping the vote off of Bailey? Like, did you feel that was extremely transparent? Like, should Megan, Sam, and Adam have like made them vote Bailey? Was Emily the right person to vote off here, I guess? And if so, for who?
I just think Emily was like literally the only option, because Megan and Adam don't have they can't push on this planet, or Adam could probably push back a little bit since he's in the 7, but Megan, like she said, could not afford to do any sort of pushback. Like, she's already lied to Sam a couple weeks. If she does any kind of pushback, like, it probably pisses that group off a little bit. They might decide, hey, I don't want to we're not going to do this anymore. Megan's trying too hard to push this onto Bailey. Like, maybe she's going to other people to try to get the vote onto Bailey. She's ruining our plans. So, you know, I think I would have loved to have seen a Bailey blindside. That would have been really like fireworks. But getting to have Bailey go another week, like come in another week, as Brady said earlier, is going to be awesome. All that crew getting pissed off will be great. But no, I don't think the pushback was ever going to happen. I think it was always going to be Emily.
I was kind of surprised how much more of a say I felt like Andrew got in that than Megan did, because theoretically both of them are on the bottom, right? Andrew and Megan, like neither of them technically should be having a say in whether it's Emily B or Bailey. So I was just kind of wondering if that was maybe because of Andrew's relationship with Cooper, maybe that he got so much more of a say, or maybe just because he's this whole game been like, you know, cocky and like it's my way or the highway, even when he's on the bottom, you know.
Andrew is just evil Cooper. Like they are the same being.
Evil Cooper. What do you guys think about cocky Andrew throughout the merge so far? His strategy on the bottom has been to just, you know, tell people he's going to be fine. You know, don't worry about it. I'm going to be here.
That's just like this Andrew. Like I feel like it's the same way Andrew plays in Survivor UVA.
It must just be a theme amongst the
Oh, it is just Andrews. They're just exceedingly cocky people on the whole. I can get behind that idea.
I think like Andrew's been playing fine. It's just the last couple weeks where he's just been so cocky and in people's face about it, where it's literally upsetting people. Like I loved like Andrew early in season 3, where like he'd go into people, like with people, interact, and then he'd sit back. I just remember vividly, like on his porch, lean back like this, and just be like, "Fuck everyone, I'm in control. Like we're good to go." But this is he's doing it to people's faces, and they're getting rightfully pissed. Like it's just like again, this not even strategy. And is he in a decent position because Cooper's obviously covering his ass, and he like doesn't have to do that much? Yeah, but you don't need to go fucking tell people that.
I'm also like, I feel like Andrew, he's pretty 50-50 on like whether his idol is real or not. So I do feel like having that idol, like I feel like that's Andrew's personality, but I do feel like having that idol in his possession where it may or may not be real is like that could inflate someone's ego in a sense. And I'm like, and like I don't know if that like I feel like part of it is intentional, is like also maybe it's like for the cameras, like again, like we're players, so it's like you do stuff where it's like you exaggerate your personality in a sense, but I do feel like the idol, like it's kind of getting to his head now, and it's like I don't know, I feel like he might be shooting himself in the foot, but also like in a sense, if you do seem like you're cocky, people might be like, oh, I'm going to take this guy to the end because the jury doesn't like a cocky guy to win the game. But so that's a great way of getting to the end, and I feel like if you play well enough and you articulate your strategy, like Andrew could make it to the end, he could get some votes. But I do feel like it might make him a target, and it might actually like work not in his favor. Like I do think people might gun for him and get bitter.
Yeah, I'm confused on how it's working, but it seems like it is working because he's consistently making it through these votes. And like, I don't understand it really, but I think it's kind of impressive. Like maybe that is part of it. It's like, oh, he's cocky, nobody really likes him, like whatever. And maybe that's the strategy to make everybody think that, you know, nobody likes you and nobody's going to want to vote for you in the end, and because you're cocky, and then suddenly you're at the end and you have this storyline and you can get the votes.
I have to wonder if like Andrew's like if the only reason the rest of the cast hates Andrew is because he's outwardly cocky. Like Adam is very cocky, especially in confessionals. Bailey is very cocky. Cooper in confessionals is quite cocky as well. So like, are all these other people just subduing their cockiness? Because Andrew is definitely not like the only delusional cocky player. They're all cocky.
I think every person in this cast is like cocky.
Yes.
But the difference is Andrew is the one who's most openly saying it in like meetings with people, you know? Like everyone else is saying it to like the camera, but Andrew is saying it like all the time, like constantly. And that's the biggest difference.
It's funny like what players decide that they will like and what they'll dislike, because Andrew is outwardly and upfront cocky to the other players. Like he's on the bottom. He knows that he's going to be safe week after week. He gets votes. He's cocky about it. And then like conversely, like Leia, outwardly to people, she's like, look, if I don't want to lie, so I'm going to be straight up with you. Like if you're going home, I'm just not going to talk to you. Like that can also seem a bit arrogant when you aren't willing to give people the time of day because you have your list and you don't want to vote for your friends, and so you won't go to other people. Like, I'm surprised that Andrew's the only one that's catching any sort of flack for these, socially taboo ways of playing.
So you bring up an interesting point. Let me ask you this. That scene between Megan and Leia during this brief period of time between the challenge and the tribal council, was saying I was saying a few after shows ago that like sometimes in like the things people are saying in these like really heightened moments, you can kind of like see through like the character and the persona they put on for like the confessionals, and the real reasons why they're doing things comes out. And I said that with Kevin sometimes, and I think this is a moment like that for Leia, where she's like saying to Megan, like, I know that like there's a negative perception of me because I'm not talking to you guys and stuff. And she's pretty much saying like, oh, I just like don't want to lie. And I think that is like part of it. But like obviously in a game of Survivor where you're lying, like that doesn't, I don't know. Do you think that that like does anything for Megan, or that Megan would be willing to work with Leia? Or do we think that like Leia is like people like Andrew and Megan, she's kind of dead to them at this point?
I don't think Leia's is playing the game to win. I think she's just playing the game in her own little bubble and being really honest about the way she's playing the game, which is like, sure, fine. Yeah, I mean, but that's not really Survivor, you know?
Yeah, does Leia stick to Leia? Like what do we think Leia's list goes from here now that half of Leia's list has betrayed her? Like what does that
gives
do?
her an excuse to turn on Leia's list. I mean, it gives her actually people to vote out. Like
I think that Leia saying that she like wasn't playing to win was an excuse, because I think she came into the season thinking that she was the best Survivor Michigan player ever. And she like expected herself to get cast. She thought it'd be a mistake if she wasn't cast on the season, rightfully. And so I think like the whole season, there's almost been this fear behind the things she does. Like she has her friends. She's adamant she doesn't want to vote them off because she doesn't want to make the wrong move. So it's almost like she'd rather play a poor game because she can just fall back on like, oh, I had this set list of morals. Like I wasn't going to vote off my friends. I'm writing a thesis. Survivor sucks. But now that they've betrayed her, I could really see her coming out and being like, fuck it. I don't need to be loyal to Cooper anymore. Sam kind of stabbed me in the back. Like I could see her turning it on now and being like, all right, I am here to win. Like, fuck these people. Like I'm the best player there's ever been. I can win. So I do think also though, Ian, to answer your initial question, like having been a player, if I were in Megan's position, hearing someone that's in the majority that's trying to vote me out say, oh, I didn't meet with you because I didn't want to lie to you. Like I'd be like, fuck you. Like I'm screwing you over now. How do you like being on the bottom? So I don't think I don't really think that Megan has any reason to want to work with Leia.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting because Leia is literally like one of the single most competitive people I've ever met. Like literally, we've been at parties. I remember one time, like she just challenged me to like a race, and we like just drunkenly were running around blocks for like 30 minutes just racing because she wanted to. And so it's so interesting where you see her now in Survivor, and she's like, "I'm not here to play. Survivor sucks. This is bullshit." Like no. So like she definitely has the competitive side. So you guys are definitely in for a treat to see just what happens with kind of Wilson shit blowing.
Yeah. I think like as another player, I would rather work with someone like Andrew who's like outwardly cocky and is like, I think I'm going to make it to the end, like than someone like Leia who is basically, I feel like it's a very condescending thing if you're like on top to say, well, I don't want to meet with you because I don't want to lie to you. Like, I think that's absolutely the last thing I'd want to hear. It's like, so you're not open to making a move because you feel good. Like, I think that comes across as way more cocky than just an outward cockiness, because I think the outward cockiness of Andrew comes across more as like a defense mechanism, like clearly being on the bottom, you're trying to do something to get you further. And I think that like the being on the top and just not communicating with anybody on the bottom, I think is much more cocky, in my opinion. But at the same time, like I do hope that Leia like takes this as a wake-up call. I would love to see Leia just from here go crazy and just get out all of her friends and like just do whatever it takes, because I really like Leia and I really wanted her to play the game like that, be cutthroat. And I think if this is a wake-up call, she still has a pretty good shot.
Do we think, is this enough for Leia to like turn on Cooper and like try to vote out Cooper, sometime soon, or still no? Like, do you think she would still refuse to vote out her best friend, Cooper James, after he did this to her?
I think Leia's got the girls back now. Like, I feel like she's been backed into a corner. In this episode, we kind of saw her choosing between wanting to actually go with the girls' lines or wanting to stick it out with Sam and Cooper. And she kind of has no choice now, because even though Sam was upfront with her, told her what was happening, in the end, he turned on her. So I don't see how Leia, somebody who cares so much about loyalty, could now choose to go with Cooper or Sam when she has these girls that stuck with her, and she wants a girl to win the game. So she might as well do it now that she has the opportunity to work with these people. She at least has, I mean, what is it? 7 people now? 7? 8?
There's 8 people left. Yeah.
8 people? Okay. Interesting. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Turns out to be because of that one added vote.
So you bring up another really interesting point, which is that like we start to get into this in this episode and in later episodes, a very muddled waters in terms of like what people believe and what other people believe and what they believe about each other. So like we see that Leia has been hiding this girls' alliance from Cooper and Sam this whole time, right? But she like decides that she's going to stick with Cooper and Sam to the end, and that's like what she really wants to do. And then that's right around the same time that Cooper decides to turn on her because he doesn't trust this girls' alliance. And, you know, she's saying to Sam, I told Cooper about this to make him like feel comfortable. Right. Or like she's saying Cooper, basically she says, I didn't slip up in telling him that. I told him that on purpose. Cooper knows I didn't slip up. But in the Cooper's confessional, Cooper's 100% believes that it was a mistake on Leia's part. So they're both like assuming the worst about the other one in this situation. And, I don't know, like, what do people think of that? Or like the way that Leia like mitigated that with Sam or kind of talked her way around the girls' alliance with Sam. I thought that was a very interesting kind of scene there.
Yeah. I would imagine that Leia would probably flip on Cooper within the near future, whether it's the next 1 or 2 votes, assuming that they're both still left in the game. Especially because if you look at like the scenes for like the next episode, like she's confronting Cooper saying how you lost Bailey. And I feel like if she felt like Cooper and Bailey were important to her game and Cooper flipping is going to compromise her game, she might be like, yeah, Cooper's my friend outside this game. But like, you know, like when you're coming back for All-Stars, these are most like, this is everyone's like last chance to win the game. And it's like, she might like, I feel like this late in the game, if you vote out your friends, people are going to take it less personally, even though it's like, it does hurt more that you're closer towards the end. But I feel like for her, if she genuinely feels like Cooper has screwed her over and has compromised her pathway to the end, I do feel like it could be smart for her to get rid of Cooper. But I also feel like Cooper's has like a lot of influence. I mean, given that he's also been a former host, he has a lot of connections with people as well. Honestly, I didn't even think Cooper was going to make Merge. So, like, I thought he was going to be like one of like the first people voted out.
Same.
So, I mean, also like we played with Jeremy, and like Jeremy, maybe he made it seem like Cooper was like the worst Survivor player ever. So maybe that's why I voted out. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm also like, that's another thing, like unrelated topic, but I am actually really impressed with Cooper's game. Like I figured he would have been like voted out by like 10 or 9, but I feel like he's actually finding his footing. Maybe that's going to increase his threat level to the point where people want to get rid of him. But I feel like he has enough connections in the tribe and enough control. And I feel like Leia might want to get rid of Cooper, but I don't know if Leia really has enough pull to do that.
I had like 2 thoughts. And so I was going to piggyback off Michael, but first just on Leia, like I feel like her thing is that she hates Survivor because it brings out the worst in people and you lie and you betray your friends. And now Cooper has directly betrayed her, like they're closest friends in this game. And now she's voted against him, or he's voted against her. So it gives her like an excuse almost to be like, look, you turned on me. I didn't turn on you. Now I have an opportunity to do so because you were corrupted by Survivor. I was not corrupted by Survivor, but you were corrupted by Survivor. So I think Leia like has a good opportunity now to turn on Cooper if she wants to. But if she is really like this morally righteous person right now, like during the season, I could also see her like trying to smooth things over with Cooper and be like, maybe that's the point of the scene. Like you lost Bailey. Like you haven't necessarily lost me yet, but you have lost Bailey. So interested to see where that plays out. But I also wanted to comment on, like, I also think Cooper's been playing a phenomenal game. Like what we get to see from behind the scenes, like he seems very strategic and it seems like he's making like proper moves at proper times. But also we've had a number of players now suggest that he's doing nothing, which is really interesting to me. And I almost wonder if he's like Matthew Israeling it, where like he thinks he's playing. And I mean, we see that he's playing a great game from behind the scenes, but maybe the other players are like, wow, like he sucks. Like he is a GOAT. Because I cannot for the life of me understand why Adam and Emily in this episode were saying Cooper has done nothing. And Andrew did too, but like, you know, Andrew's going to say anything to Adam because Andrew and Cooper are on the same side. But I would love some insight, if you guys can give any, on why the cast thinks that Cooper sucks. Because we see Cooper as good.
All right,
let's let Ryan get in here.
I want to give my prediction or my theory on why this is happening. I think there are so many people in this game that are trying to validate that they are playing a good game to themselves. Adam, I feel like he's trying so hard to like be a threat and validate that he's playing well. We've seen so many times in the game that he's like, why does everyone think that Sam is doing this when I've been doing all the work? We see Emily B trying to validate that she's not a GOAT. And the way that they're doing this is by like telling people and telling themselves that the people that have good reputations, Cooper and Sam, are trash and not doing anything, which is really interesting. It's kind of like the psychology, like they're trying to put other people down to bring themselves up is what I think is happening.
So to like the why people don't think Cooper is like as much better as he is, I think Cooper's just a damn good Survivor player. And I think half that comes from his ability to make moves and make it look like he's not making moves, so he's not a threat. Like you can see that in like the most simplest form in just like the advantage with Andrew, where he was like, this is Andrew's thing. Like let everyone know that, let him believe that's Andrew's. Because at the end of the day, like if you're playing to win, you can bring all that shit out at Final Tribal. And you can literally say, here's what I did, here's what I did, here's what I did. And like even during this vote, you can see like Cooper is like bringing like people together and being like, oh, like we need to push to save Andrew. And so, or no, it was last week's. He's like, yeah, when we go to the meeting, he's like, Leia and Sam, when we go, we're all going to push Andrew together. It's not Cooper going into that meeting alone and being like, I'm going to stand here, me alone, and convince you all to go Andrew. He's like, no, we're going to get people or to keep Andrew. He's like, I'm going to get people behind the scenes so that when we get in this big meeting, it doesn't look like me. There's no target on my back. It looks like a group decision. And then again, if that's like coming out at Final Tribal, Cooper's going to come out and be like, here's this move I made. You don't even know that I made it. So that's why I think Cooper's a damn good Survivor player. He's good at staying under the radar while still having a lot of control.
Great insight. Surely he does not get a big head from this podcast.
I
I
was enjoying the early episodes when most of the fans and people seemed to be shit talking Cooper, you know, and saying he sucked. And now people seem to be turning around on them. It's becoming quite annoying. I'm going to need people to start talking shit on Cooper again soon, you know, lest it go to his head and he think he's bigger than he is, you know. Yeah. What else? What do we? I don't know. Who else? Is there we haven't really discussed yet? How are you guys feeling about Bailey's game thus far, up to this point? I mean,
Trash.
We see that potentially Bailey's going to be angry next episode. Trash.
I'm sorry. Well, I think she's playing way too hard and she's not doing a good job at it. Like people see her as a threat, but is she really? Like she's just messy and all over the place. And I think it was really evident for me in her conversation that she had with Emily B is just like how she doesn't really have a grip on how other people are perceiving her. So I don't know. She didn't get a lot of content this episode.
Yeah. One thing about the editing of this episode was that like because of the way it was structured, where like production basically everybody knew there was going to be this challenge and then tribal, even though the idea was for it to be a surprise, pretty much the entire cast figured it out because we were bad at scheduling and told them we had already planned another challenge. Like really dumb production move as usual. You know, we weren't quite up to our game. I don't really remember why we did that, but basically everybody knew it was going to happen. And so the people on the top, or who thought they were on the top, right? Like Bailey and Bree and Emily and Leia, they didn't film a lot because they didn't think anything was happening. Really, like they were like, oh, we have challenge and then tribal. So like Bailey and Bree and Emily didn't probably have as much content in this episode as you would usually think. because they didn't think they weren't doing anything. They were like, oh, this is an easy vote. We're just voting off Andrew. That's what we agreed on last time, you know? So all those other people who were making the move had more content. So that's just kind of why like it was a little more unbalanced this episode than usual. It was just because of like the nature of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah.
Back to like Bailey's game. Like Bailey is just one of the most like emotionally driven people by far in the season, and just like one of the most emotionally driven people I've ever met. And you can see that, especially like in some of the flash forwards, like in the fall of this episode. And like, I think like Survivor is an emotional game, but you have to have it in check to have power. Like your close ally can get voted out, and if you're just gonna sit on that, you're fucked. Like you need to jump out after that and just start networking people. Being like, yeah, they got voted out, but we're still playing a game. I still need to go do stuff. So like back to an earlier question of like if they made the right move voting out Emily versus Bailey, like everyone knows Bailey is emotional and she's gonna flip a shit, and everyone knows she's gonna flip a shit. Like that's why I think it was a wrong move voting out Emily versus Bailey, because if you betray Bailey, you don't know what's gonna happen, and she's probably gone, like from your life. So. Yeah, just a very emotionally driven player. She's been all over the place. Even like a couple weeks ago, she made that one group to make a vote, and then it flipped on the own group that she made. Like, what the fuck? So,
I think that there's a degree to which, though, like Bailey just does have an incredible amount of power in the game.
she does.
Like
Too.
she did create both alliances at the merge, and then here this whole flip is happening, and Sam, Megan, and Adam like kind of wanted to be her, but like she's sort of untouchable in this moment because like her relationship that she's built with Andrew, which I will say is not a pre-existing relationship. Like Bailey and Andrew were not friends at all before this game. Is like that keeps her safe this week. And so I guess we'll have to see where it goes from here. But I do think that she fumbles the bag with the Emily relationship a bit, but in other relationships, she's going very strong.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like typically when you absolutely blow up, it paints a massive target on your back. But I feel like Bailey's relationships are decent enough where if she blows up, people might feel close enough with her where they could align themselves with her despite her positioning in the game kind of collapsing, being blindsided and being on the wrong side of the vote, and kind of like playing into like her being upset, being like, who do you want next? And kind of appeasing her and claiming that as your move, you know, because then you get to like, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like, I feel like she's going to blow up the next episode. We know this is going to happen, but like, I don't necessarily think that means she would be the next boot. She totally could, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the players left in the game kind of utilize her being upset and kind of pulling her in as a number to make another move against someone else.
Yeah, I kind of love what Bailey's doing. Like, I think her game is so interesting because it's like everybody has this perception that she's the biggest threat. Yet it feels like she can do whatever she wants and she's not going to get voted out, which I think is very impressive. Like, it's so shocking every time. It's like it seems like the obvious vote would be Bailey for these people, but then they're like, well, no, because and it doesn't really. I don't really understand why it's not Bailey, but every time it just shifts off of her, and I think it's because of her social game, but I think she's made herself seem like this really emotional person, and she probably that seems like it's a genuine thing, but I think it's actually working for her and people seem to like it, and somehow she's just getting further and further, which I think is really impressive and interesting to watch.
All right, so who is going home next? Like,
yeah,
gun to your head. Who's going home next?
So like, it seems like a lot of the footage from the second episode is like directly after Tribal, and it seems like Leia and Bailey aren't in a good position, but I don't think that necessarily means they are the next boot. I mean, a lot can happen within a couple of weeks, you know, like, and like, for instance, maybe they win the challenge and they're not the boot, you know, maybe the vote gets split and something happens. But I do feel like Bailey and Leia are vulnerable, but I feel like them being vulnerable could lead them to being used as a number, and like someone within the majority 5 that voted out Emily, they could also be voted out. So I know that's not a direct answer. I do feel like if I had to pick, it could be Bailey or Leia, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Leia and Bailey get used as numbers to take out someone out of the 5.
I think it's Megan. I think after a big vote like this, it goes into Megan. I don't know. I feel like in these all-star seasons, like once you take out the big threat, which this isn't a big threat, but it was a big move, it kind of defaults back to like let's just go back to a default move and then we'll get the ball rolling again. So like, I think Crouch is pretty well insulated. I think Megan has no connections. I think now that everything is kind of broken up, there's going to be small little pockets of alliances rather than like the big group of friends still going gung ho. So there are going to be like pods of people protecting other pods of people, which makes me think that it's not going to be like a Cooper that goes home. It's not going to be like a Sam. I think it probably just falls onto Megan, because who's aligned with Megan? No one.
Yes. How do you guys feel about Megan's game at this point? You know, she's obviously the giant fan favorite, but let's like, you know, talk about her actual gameplay. Like, where do you think she stands in the game? It sounds like, Andrew, you think not very well, I guess.
No, I mean, I think if she got to the end, she'd actually have a pretty good case against most players, because she had a really strong pre-merge. And I kind of feel like most players get to the end and they like gloat about their pre-merge for some reason. I don't know why that is, but I feel like we see that a lot in Survivor. And so like, I think that she could go in with a good story. And then she also has an underdog narrative, which I don't know if the underdog story works super well in Survivor. It certainly worked well in Survivor UVA, but you know, I think she's got a lot of winner equity, but her path to the end, I'm not sure is great, because people aren't going to want to bring her to the end. She's not going to have the alliances to make moves and decisions to get to the end. So if she gets to the end, she rides coattails, and if she rides coattails, then she might lose some of her win equity there. So I'm not super high on Megan. I think she's played a great game, but at this point, she's just kind of riding on other players.
Yeah, so I love Megan. I think all the fans agree that Megan's probably the fan favorite of the season. And she came in terms of gameplay and strategy, she came in relatively strong. She was in a lot of tough positions because of Jackson in the game. And I thought that maybe once Jackson would get out, she would, you know, become more powerful, but it seemed like it was almost the opposite that happened. I feel like she's been slipping recently. She hasn't been showcased that much in the edit. Maybe it's just because she's been in the minority and she hasn't had a lot of say in who's going home. But even so, I think that like what Andrew is saying, the underdog story is something that can't be ignored. And looking at the jury right now, who's on the jury, like Kevin, Lucy, these people are probably, in my mind, going to be rooting for Megan. She hasn't been voting people out. She hasn't been stiff arming people saying, hey, sorry, you're in the minority, you can't get voted out. And she's a lovable person. So if I had to make a prediction for her, I think she's going to go far, but I think she's probably going to get out right before the final three, and she's going to be robbed, or as people would say, robbed. I don't know if that would be robbed, because she hasn't necessarily been the most strategic, but she's loved. So I could see her getting fourth or fifth place or something like that. I could see someone like Sam or Cooper kind of using Megan's lovability as an excuse to vote somebody out other than themselves to get to the end, would be my prediction.
So Ryan, real quick, also so Andrew thought Megan was out next, so you clearly don't think that. So who do you think is out next?
This is really tough. I kind of have no idea. When you asked the question, I was kind of trying to run it through in my head. If I had to say somebody, I would say Adam. I think it's going to be somebody bigger, but not somebody that's like super well connected. And I think that would be Adam.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like, I don't know if Megan's playing a winning game, but I feel like her positioning right now is kind of decent in the sense that like, I feel like a lot of the people who are supposedly on the bottom, like Leia, and then there's people who made the move who are gonna piss people off, like, you know, like Andrew and Cooper. It's like, it doesn't really seem like Megan is being focused in on. And like, yeah, you did mention how she wasn't super like in the forefront of this episode, I guess. But I guess that is because she was in the minority. But I feel like it's almost beneficial for her to be in the minority and not having a lot of power, because people aren't super threatened by her. So I feel like because of that, yeah, she could progress really far in the game. But I'm also like, I don't know if she's made a lot of strategic plays where she could earn the respect of the jury. And if she ever does win, I think it would just because she is not only a fan favorite, but like a jury favorite, where people just really like her as a human. And that sometimes that's enough to win, you know? Sometimes you just don't make any moves, but everyone's bitter. That totally could happen, but as of now, I don't think anyone left in the game is bitter. So I think she can go far. I like how she's playing as of now, but I don't know if that's going to get her the win in the end.
I think Megan's game is really I mean, I think there's like multiple different ways that a Survivor game can be good. I don't think it's always about, dictating every vote. I think Megan's, fighting from the bottom, having to fight to stay in every week, having to fight to keep her allies in. Like this episode, I thought that was super impressive. I think that's a move, even if, she didn't get to pick the name of who was going home. The fact that she was able to keep herself and her ally alive, I think is a move in itself. And I think if I were on the jury, I would really respect that, playing from the bottom. So, and I actually think she has a really good shot right now. I think, I feel like people don't necessarily perceive her as a threat, but at the same time, I think they respect how impressive it is to fight from the bottom consistently. So I think she has a good shot. And like Ryan said, I was also thinking Adam would be who I would predict would go home, just because I feel like, as one of the people who turned on people, but also not necessarily as connected as like Cooper or Sam. That would be my prediction as well.
Brady, I'll let you take this one first. Who did you think was going to be the fan favorite? Were you surprised at the overwhelming Megan love?
So I think it's interesting. I think it started in season 4 where Megan got the nickname of just Jesus for some reason. And like production has always loved Megan. Like she was just like this pure innocent being in like a shit show of a game of Survivor. And so like production has always loved Megan. However, going into All Stars, like because she was so recent on season 4 and there were just so many other people that have one been like invested in the club for so much longer and two just been friends with everyone. Like basically there's just a giant Survivor community and Megan is not one of the people that shows up to many Survivor events or interacts with two people outside of the game. So I definitely am a little surprised with it. Well, I guess not surprised. I guess just when I was producing and hosting, I was like, oh, like this person, like the Baileys, the Cooper, the Sams, like the people who have been involved in every single thing are going to be favorites just because they have so many connections and they're like so much more crazy. But it's not exactly surprising because Megan is just like fun to watch. Again, I loved it because, as I said earlier, like Megan like has such a great perception of what's happening in the game. And it sucks that she doesn't have all the friends or all these connections to do anything with it because she literally goes into every fucking meeting and goes, here's what's happening. Here's who's in charge. You guys are sticking with here. You're going to have to dissolve at some point. And guess what? This week, everyone dissolved and started breaking up because for some reason, there's like a perception of some people in the 7 who are like, we'll get to final 7 and then whatever happens, happens. When in reality, you're playing Survivor and everyone is making contingency to get to the end. Like if I was in that 7, I would be like, I trust these people for a bit, but I do not trust anyone at all to get to the end because everyone's trying to get there. And there's like good beakers with 3, 4, 2, 5, everyone within that 7 to get places. And Megan is so aware of all of it. So again, not surprised at all that she is a fan favorite. But again, producing, I was like thinking of other people just because they're much bigger people. But otherwise, we love Megan.
It doesn't surprise me because I like watch all the footage and stuff. So like I thought Megan would be a fan favorite. What does surprise me is that it seems to be at the exclusion of like any other of like a lot of the other players. Like I thought Megan would be a fan favorite and that there would also be a lot of people who were like I thought that Adam and Bailey would be 2 of the bigger fan favorite breakouts as well. Those were 2 of my predictions just because I thought they were kind of like very, very like rootable, chaotic in like a fun, like lovable kind of way. I thought that Adam shaving his head would be like a like Stan icon moment that like I think it kind of was, but it didn't seem to like take as much steam as I expected. So like I definitely I knew Megan would be a huge fan favorite just based off her videos and like she's amazing on season 4, so I knew she'd be great on All Stars as well. And her and Jackson, just the storyline she's involved in, especially early on, are so exciting that it was obvious that would carry her through. But I am surprised that it seems to be at the exclusion at this stage of like all of the other players who I also think are like very engaging personalities as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really enjoy Megan's like storyline, and I feel like the reason why people like her so much is like she does come off as Jesus in the sense that she's like pure and angelic or whatever.
Yep.
Like, it's funny because then like she's dating Jackson, and it's like he's the complete antithesis of Megan, and she is like trying to like keep everything like without exposing it, and then she's finding these fake idols with people, and she's just lying straight to their face, and she's like the one person you straight up would not expect to be like Two-Face. And I think the fact that her actions and her personality kind of conflict with each other is what's so interesting, because like she's able to do all these like devious things without compromising her like character, and like she's still playing the game. She's not like being an asshole about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like Megan just feels so real. Like, to me, I watch her confessionals and I feel like she's, she is telling me what she actually feels. And I obviously, I don't know what these people are like in real life, but people like AJ or Sam seem like they're kind of trying to portray a character more to me. Whereas Megan, to me, just feels really real. And I find that more engaging and more interesting because I feel like it shows, it just seems more genuine. And I don't know if that's accurate, but I think that that's why for me, I'm really like I love when Megan's on the screen because I feel like it's always interesting, but it also always feels really real.
Yeah, I wanted to interject here real quick too. I saw a comment by Cody S up above where he says like sometimes the jury just wants to vote for someone they feel good about winning. And I think that we get to see like a lot of good aspects of Megan. Like she's and everyone knows like she's fun, she's bubbly, she's kind-hearted. However, I also think that perhaps the game she's not necessarily seen that way. Otherwise, people would be wanting to come and work with her, and they'd be more willing to listen to her, and they'd be more willing to listen to her reads. I think like, at the beginning, she made that big flip against Dylan and Aaron for Lucy and Sam and Adam's benefit. And even still, like, they didn't even really want to work with her. I mean, Lucy went out early, but, Sam's been trying and she, Megan won't listen to her. Adam is, wherever Adam is. And so like, I think Megan, we see like, she's a great person, and like you said, Brady, like she wasn't really coming to events. I don't know if she actually gets the jury votes in the end. I don't think people see her as like the feel-good winner. I think they would maybe be annoyed if Megan won because she hasn't had much agency here in the merge. And, she wasn't extremely involved in the club from what I understand. I don't know how much that's going to play into it. And I do think maybe this jury will be bitter. Who knows? But I also think this jury is going to be unpredictable. Like Kevin's going to vote for someone that's funny, makes good TV. Like, Lucy, Nick talked about it a lot. Lucy fucked him out of the win. And I think it was pretty well thought that Nick maybe should have, won season 2. Maybe that's controversial. I don't know. But I don't know. Like this is going to be a tough jury. I don't think Megan it's as cut and dry as like, oh, she's the feel good winner. So I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Do we think that this will be viewed as the biggest move of the game, this Emily B blindside, or will there be a bigger move like yet to come?
It'd be kind of funny if Emily B was the biggest move since everyone like thought she was a goat. I think by nature, I think this move is the move that shakes the game up and thus is like the biggest move of the game. But I think any move against Cooper or Sam or Leia, even Bailey for that matter, is probably the bigger move. And when push comes to shove and you're sitting in the final 2 or final 3, like I'm not sure people are going to point to the Emily B move as much as they might point to, hey, I got out Cooper. Oh, I got out Sam. I got out Bailey. So this is the pivotal move that brings about the biggest move, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you can tell in the way it's edited that this is like a pivot point of like the whole merge, there was before this and there's after this.
Right. It's the end of chapter 2, right? That's
yeah. It's a 3-act play, people were upset, act 2, it's a bit slower. It's the Empire Strikes Back of the series, like you got to dig a little deeper into the characters. We got to find out what everyone's emotions are and line up all the dominoes so that we can knock them all down. And then the 3rd act is all the resolution, and all the gang bang, whatever, like blockbuster fireworks, you have your big climax in act 3. So
absolutely.
I'm hoping that if
Ian
it
does
turns out, yeah.
everything for a reason.
Yeah, and the 2 weeks off. Also, I'm sure some people are wondering. Like, first of all, I had always planned to do it like the whole time to do 2 weeks, but we'd always done 2 weeks for the merge. But this time, I was like, if I'm segmenting it into these like 3 like different mini arcs, basically, it felt like it made sense thematically to have 2 weeks. And also, I just knew I would need the time, which I do. Like, it always catches up to you. Like, Ryan can speak to this, I'm sure. Like, and
Yeah.
like I thought I was gonna be able to pump out bonus scenes like the whole time, and that's obviously fallen by the wayside as we've caught up to where I thought I was. And so I need the time to make sure these like last 4 episodes are like as perfect as I want them to be, because I really do think that like any of the last 4 episodes like could be considered amongst the best Survivor Michigan episodes if they're like done correctly. So I just need to like make sure they get to that point so that it can end on like as high a note as possible.
Yeah, also just to add, I feel like part of the reason why this move also felt so big was like you mentioned how like players like Bailey and Bree, they were really comfortable and they weren't strategizing. And I feel like anytime you have like a tribal like right after challenge, like 30 minutes, there's a lot of scrambling going on and there's gonna be a huge blindside. And I figured like moving forward, I would expect players to like not be super complacent, like comfortable. Like they're always going to be active now. And I think if players are always active, especially this late in the game, it's like you're always going to have like people strategizing and you're going to see blindsides potentially. And I feel like that's why I'm expecting more like big moves to occur just because of that. You know, like I feel like Survivor's a pretty emotional game, and like I feel like people's emotions are really gonna show in these next couple of votes and up until the end, really. So I do expect a lot of big moves leading up to the finale.
What are our big predictions? How's it all going down? First of all, let's talk about the Pringle idol. So now it's just Andrew. It's not so much who has it, it's is Andrew's real or not. Did Emily go home with an idol or not?
Andrew's so fake. There's no way that is real. I don't even know what it is, but it's got to be fake.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if Andrew was convinced that his was fake, I don't think he would make a fake. So I don't think it makes sense that his would be real and Emily's would be fake. Because I don't know.
I've been thinking about this all day, and I'm willing to say this because I don't think it really gives it away, honestly. For a very, very long time, the reveal was at the very end of this episode. Like there's that weird little post-credit scene almost.
Yeah.
And so literally until a few days ago, it was revealed right there which one of them had it. And then when I was working on one of the later episodes, I decided, no, I was like, it's more satisfying another way. And so we need to see this through and wait for a different moment. But for a very long time, I was like, this is central to Emily's storyline. Like, it's a tragedy either way, you know? Like, either Emily had this big plan she was going to use with the idol, you know? And it's tragic that, like, her whole story basically is that she didn't make the move soon enough. Or it's like, she had a fake idol the whole time, so I guess it's even worse, basically, because, like, her plan was completely bogus. Either way, it's a tragedy for her. And so originally it felt like this is where it needed to be settled for like her storyline. If this is her episode, like for her arc, it's important to know which one it is. But eventually I realized it's a tragedy either way, and it doesn't really matter. And eventually we will find that out. And for Andrew's story, maybe it's better if we still don't quite know. So yeah, but it was very close to being revealed in this episode. So I don't know if that moves people's needles on what they think, but that's
interesting, Ian. That actually makes me think that Emily's is the real one, because I don't know. My thought is if you were going to reveal it in this episode, then if Crouch has the opportunity to play the idol, there would have never been a question that you would reveal his idol as real in this episode. So I'm starting to think you might have moved the needle into the direction of it being Emily B's idol, but would love to be wrong on that one. Ian, would love to.
Actually, it was Kevin's this whole time.
Well, that was part of the whole shtick at one point, but yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if you bring him back and it was Kevin.
I've seen some conspiracy theories that Megan has it. That's the dream scenario that Megan secretly had it the whole time.
That would be hilarious.
Sorry, you.
Oh yeah, I was just saying like the whole idol saga, everything has been done. Bringing in Shan to explain things.
It's been a lie the entire
One
time.
person has the idol.
I was gonna ask, can you just like make me remember? Was Dylan the only correct idol play, or Jackson? Sorry.
No, because Lucy also played an idol and saved herself.
Okay, that's right. And
So
that's
Jackson sent home Aaron with an idol, and then Lucy actually, yeah. So yeah, Jackson and Lucy both played idols correctly. So actually, nobody has played an idol incorrectly yet. Nick didn't play his idol
right.
and went home, and now there's still the Pringle idol out there, and there's also a merge idol that hasn't been found yet. We were getting closer with these clues, but it hasn't been found yet.
Will we see a return of Shannon in the coming episodes for a segment?
No spoilers. No spoilers on Shannon. On Shannon, yeah. Can't say. But what else? I don't know. Anyone have any other questions or big thoughts or anything?
I can give my winner pick. It changes every week.
Oh yeah, let's hear winner picks. That's great. Brady, you want to hear yours first? Who do you think's gonna
Yeah,
win?
yeah. So I think Kevin's taking it home.
Gotcha.
Like, comes back from redemption.
When he comes back from Edge of Extinction,
Oh,
Kevin's
wait,
got
did we
this.
not tell people that we're doing Edge of Extinction again? That's not popular? That's
Bro,
not
Kevin, or Brady, I told you no spoilers.
Oh, don't listen to me. Sorry about that.
If you could convince Kat to come on one of these, I would love to have her, but no chance in hell.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, who's winning? You go first.
Oh, my bad.
I think, well, it's between three people, but I'm gonna pick one. Right now, my winner pick is Cooper.
Okay, you have any rationale for that?
No, I don't.
Okay, just feelings ball.
Perfect.
We like it.
It's always a feeling. My other two, I was gonna say, it's between Cooper, Sam, or Andrew.
I don't think Ian would have edited this season if Cooper won. There's no way.
You don't think I would have edited if Cooper won?
You would not have given Cooper that satisfaction. You would have said, "Fuck you, Cooper."
Don't you think my best bud? I've lived with him for all these years. I wouldn't feel satisfied in that outcome.
I don't know, Ian. Would he be the better Survivor player over you then? I don't know if you want that title to be bestowed upon him. So
I don't know. I'd have to play Survivor at some point for us to find out. I guess we've only played those online games where he snaked me.
Oh, the online games.
Yeah, the online Survivor drinking games. Ugh. The pandemic was a wild time. Maybe one day we'll talk about those, but not today.
I'm bringing one back this summer. I've been asked by too many people.
Okay. Don't tell Cooper I'm blindsiding him. These guys, you guys are all playing, and we're gonna blindside Cooper like first round. He's taken me out of way too many of those fucking drinking games.
But do you remember him voting you out? That's the real question.
No. All right, so Andrew, so it's not Cooper. So who's your winner pick?
So I had Emily B as my preseason, so that's sad. I think honestly, like it's setting up for a pretty satisfying Sam dub here. If not Sam, I like Crouch's odds. If not Crouch, Leia, excuse me, claws her way back up and proves that she actually does love Survivor. I think that would be my order.
Okay, wait. You have to pick one. You can't have hedge with this. I want to lock it in.
Yeah. Sam.
Ryan locked his in. Okay, Sam. What do you have any rationale for that?
I think that he's week by week, even when he's made moves that don't seem like they're the best, I think he comes out on top and he has like a solid rationale to why they're the best moves. And it seems like he's kind of drawing people in. Even his allies who are like, oh, I don't really know what Sam has done at this point. Like, Sam is a big threat. No one's wanting to target Sam right now. Like he's pretty well insulated. So I don't know. I think he's just playing a good game. And in my opinion, I don't want to read into the edit too much, but I think he has a nice edit. So.
Yeah, I was going to say like preseason or like based on the first episode, my winner pick was Sarah. So I really had to scramble and get like a new winner pick. I don't even know why I picked Sarah. I just thought it'd be really poetic to have like be the first boot of the first season and like just stomp on all the people that made it much further in the game. But I feel like I'm cheating because I kind of have two. But if I had to pick between Cooper and Sam, I'm leaning towards Sam, and I think part of that is because I feel like no one's really viewing Sam as a GOAT. I feel like, and because of that, like as long as you're not a GOAT, you're probably going to get votes in the end. And I feel like he's not like top dog in terms of threat level. And I just feel like people are going to go after other players, and he's still going to be able to make moves without like, if people are going after those bigger players, and if he's like taking part of those moves, like that's a resume builder right there. So I feel like Sam is my winner, and I'm going to cheat and say Cooper is my second pick, which just because I think I really doubted, like I really doubted Cooper, and I feel terrible, but I just like maybe I'm like being influenced by how low of expectations I had, and he's really like overcome them. But yeah, I'd say Sam as my number one pick, Cooper as my second.
That's what I'm saying. Women's History Month. I'm saying Megan. I'm saying Megan. And I don't care. She's the queen and she's winning. Period. Like, maybe I'm trying to manifest it, but I'm saying Megan's going to win the game, and I don't care. That's it. No rationale. Just she's the queen.
Okay. Yeah, well, do you guys have anything else? Anything else you feel like we really need to get in here, or any comments, any other final thoughts on the episode, or I don't know where you see the what you get with this, how your thoughts on the season overall, I guess. I don't know, before we get out of here.
I'll say I've really enjoyed the season so far, and it can be frustrating when you see a dominant alliance like succeed week after week. Obviously, you want things to shake up, but the quality has just been top notch. Survivor Michigan just knows how to run a proper club. Obviously, you guys have your footage in line. You've got these nice, you somehow incentivize your players to film their own confessionals. I feel like Survivor UVA failed at that at times. We always had to do like producer confessionals. I don't know. It's just like top notch in quality. The characters are fun, entertaining. And Ian, you told me like a handful of times before the season started that this was like a totally wild ride and you couldn't predict what happens. And I think that's a true assessment, and it makes each episode exciting. So I really enjoyed watching it. I watch each week, and I also love being on the post episode podcast. So I'm always happy when you invite me onto this.
Of course. I'd love to have you on and get your takes.
I'll just say I'm so excited for Act 3. I think even though Act 2, a lot of people thought was slow or dominated by one group, I think it's a blessing in disguise at sometimes, because everyone that's left is really a great player or really entertaining. So it should be a battle to the finish, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yep, Act 3 is a shit show.
Brady's just coming out here with the fire. Yeah, I don't think people are, Brady, do you think people are ready for some of this?
I'm not even ready. I know exactly what happened.
I stand by. I haven't checked because I don't know all of the every Survivor season of all time. I think there is a vote split that has never occurred in the history of Survivor. I believe. I could be wrong, but that's a promise I'm going to kind of make, because I think it's the case. If it has ever occurred before, I haven't heard of it. So excited to see that at the least play out. At first, I think we'll maybe get
2-2-2-1.
Something crazy.
The next vote is a 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah, it's just ones all the way around. Elise and Michael, let's get you guys' last thoughts.
Well, this is my first time watching any college Survivor, TBH. But I think it's super fun. I love it. I love like seeing all the characters, and it's really interesting. Coming from like being on it and then watching and like anticipating our season coming out hopefully soon, eventually, we'll see. But I love it. I think it's super interesting. I'm really excited for seeing what's coming up next.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the first time I've ever like seen a college Survivor was Survivor Michigan, and that's kind of why I applied for Survivor MSU. Like, yeah, I've been watching Survivor since I was a kid, but it is really cool seeing I feel like it's really hard to get an all-star season on a college campus. So the idea of getting that like done is like really cool, and that the fact that we're heading into the final stretch is really exciting. So yeah.
And you guys want to talk a little about your own Survivor clubs real quick, like, and what people can look forward to or or check out from those?
Gonna go first, Andrew, or
Sure, we'll go first. We'll kick it off. Go watch Survivor UVA season 4, Wahoo Warriors. Ian has gone on record and said it's the best college Survivor on YouTube. Crazy take from him. I think Brady also said if he could only leave one on repeat forever, it'd be Survivor UVA. So go watch it. No updates from us. Probably never any updates, unfortunately. You just have to deal with the one single perfect season. So
I can't call it the best, because how can you ever pick the best? But it is in the toppest of tiers, I would say. I would say that Survivor UVA Wahoo Warriors is in the top tier of college survivors. If you haven't seen it, you're doing yourself a disservice and should go watch it right now, because it was a firecracker of a season. And so I'm disappointed there will never be more. Ryan told me that he said maybe one day he would edit 17 more seasons of UVA, but I don't know if that's true.
Well, Ian, that's funny. That's a good joke.
That's what I heard. I just heard a rumor that you're editing UVA All-Stars 2, and All-Stars 3, and that's all coming out this summer.
I think it's a good thing that season 4 is just in its void of its own, because nobody can ever hate on it or become an overly obsessed fan. You have quite a few.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's nice to know people care, It's very empowering. It shows that we've done something special. At the least there's that many people who are mad at us.
Absolutely. They're all going to be wishing they hadn't said anything with Act 3.
We'll see. I hope so. I hope it brings it home for everybody. You guys want to talk about Survivor MSU real quick?
Yeah, so we have season 1 is filmed, and it'll hopefully be coming out within the upcoming months. We have our trailer for season 1 out on YouTube at Survivor Michigan State. It's really fun. I really like the trailer. Everyone I've shown has said it's fun, so maybe go check it out. And then we're currently filming and working on season 2, which is super fun. But yeah, if you want to see season 1, me and Michael are players on there, and then we're currently working on producing season 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say being a player, especially on season 1, it's really cool to be to say not that I started a club, that's our club president, but to be a part of something is the first time is really cool, and it's really fun. Also producing, obviously I want to be a player again. It's a really unique form of competition where it's you could be the best physical challenge beast, you could be the most strategic person in the game, but that could be the very reason why you lose the game. It's a really unique form of competition. So yeah, I would say our season has a lot to look forward to, and I'm also having a blast filming it and kind of being behind the camera as well.
Brady, got anything you wanna plug or anything you want to say?
People are Survivor Michigan. So I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys all for coming on. It was such a pleasure having all of you. Nice to meet you guys, Elise and Michael. I'm glad you're enjoying the season. I would love to hear have Jeremy give me your contact for something. I'd love to hear how you guys think the rest of the season shakes out. And to everybody watching, I know that this early part of the post-merge was a bit of a slog, and I think it's fair to say it felt like a slog at times to me and Brady as well. We were there. We just are against majorities in general. We want them to immediately be flipped on. But from here on in, I really don't think it will disappoint you. I think that it's some of the most bananas, bonkers, just emotional and great gameplay, horrible gameplay, messy gameplay, everything you would want out of a reality TV season. These next 4 episodes is a season of Survivor unto itself, and I'm very excited for people to see how it all finally comes to an end. So keep watching, and see you soon.